All right, first and foremost, happy Valentine's Day to all my gay and lonely people too. Happy Valentine's Day. Um, oh yeah, let's get into it. The college football player that body slammed the cop. Shit is funny as hell. And I used to work for the police department. I used to work in the traffic division, but it's not really a joke. Because the officers, they put their life on the line to come out and, serve the public or whatever, do the job for the city. And, you just want to make it home safe. That's all. You just want to come to work, do your job, and get home without injury. You know what I'm saying? You rolling up to strangers to issue summonses or to issue some kind of violation or to check, like the officers is pulling people over to check their cars, check your license and or whatever, and they just doing their job basically and um, trying to make it home safe, fill a quota, whatever, however much they have to do a day. If they have to do 20 or 25 stops or whatever a day, and then they just trying to get back to their DO and get back home, get home safe. So every day that you complete and you come back to the DO is like successful, but like every day people got stories like when you come in after you leave the streets and you come to your DO, your district office where you finish out your paperwork for today, you change your clothes to go home and stuff like that. Like there's like a million stories, you know what I'm saying, as far as interacting with the public or whatever the situation is. But if you're an officer, you come across somebody that's stronger than you. Good thing they didn't shoot him or nothing like that. So, shout out to those officers. They didn't shoot the guy or anything like that. I think he was black or whatever. And he was strong. He was upset. I don't know what he was on, you know what I'm saying? Or, maybe it was just his, he was mad, you know what I'm saying? Maybe he was just mad because, he felt he was in the right, like if an officer stop you, right? If you ever been arrested before for maybe getting pulled over for driving without a license, or they bust you without insurance, they could take your car and they could lock you up. So you spend your little night in the jail or 2 nights in the jail before you see the judge or whatever the situation is. But that's not the kicker. The kicker is whatever you was going to do right before they arrested you. You know what I'm saying? Before they arrested you, you probably was going somewhere to have fun, or maybe you was going somewhere to have good sex. you know, um, you'd be mad as hell. You know what I'm saying? But this guy, they found pills. They say they found some pills in the vehicle. They still, I guess, checking it out to see exactly what the pills were. And so I don't know what the pills were, but if he had whatever to make him feel, strong or whatever, no pain or whatever the situation is, I don't know what pills those are, but he picked the officer up in the air and had his legs like dangling in the air and brought him down to the ground on his back. You understand what I'm saying? I went out on back injury from the police department, and they paid for my through the workers' comp, paid for my physical therapy and everything because a guy slammed me with his car. You know what I'm saying? I was issuing him a summons, and the guy didn't want the summons, and when I was going across the street to issue him the summons, I could see the anger in his face, but I'm an officer, so if I'm coming to do something, I'm coming to do it, you know what I'm saying? I can't look at you and see, oh, he's angry, I got to turn back and walk away. So I continued on to the vehicle, and he didn't hit me straight on from the front, but he cut his wheel and kind of like whipped his wheel so the car could hit my body, like slam me, and it threw me into the oncoming traffic was coming, and I had to hurry up and dip to the side, towards the kind of like brace myself and catch myself and stuff like that. I couldn't fall down and lay there because oncoming traffic would have just ran me over. So he would have sideswiped me with his car into traffic, and other vehicles would have rolled over me if I didn't like catch my balance and get over. So yeah, that's what happened. And you don't feel the pain right away, but you're definitely going to feel the pain like afterwards, because I didn't even really realize how bad the situation was until I heard people saying, ooh, like he slammed me with his car and stuff, you know what I'm saying? I was almost ready to, get back on my feet, get on balance, and just go continue issuing summonses and stuff like that, But, my DO radio to my DO, and they was like, "Are you hurt?" And I was like, "No." And then I got up on my feet, and I thought about it. They called them back, and they said, "Oh, you hurt? Do you need an ambulance?" I said, "Yeah, send an ambulance and stuff." And good thing that I did that, because the next day my back was burning. I got, slammed with with a car. He cut his wheel so his car could hit and slam me and everything like that. And I didn't think much of it until like the next day. I went to physical therapy, and from the day it happened, I went to the hospital, through the ambulance, and then they ordered me to go to physical therapy. And that day at physical therapy, the place was crowded. The hospital was, the little clinic was crowded, and my back was burning. My whole back was burning in pain, and I couldn't wait to see the doctor. Whatever they could do for me, please hurry up. You know what I'm saying? So, I was like squirming in my chair. So I know this officer that got body slammed, he might not feel it right away, but you're definitely going to feel it the next day, if he didn't feel it, because the football player had him up in the air. He came from up in the air down and slammed him on his back, Now, when we kids, we could fall and get back up and keep going and stuff like that. We could scrape our knees and stuff like that, put a Band-Aid on it and keep on running or whatever the situation is. But when you get older, you see the bags under my eyes, when you get older, nah, you can't be taking those kind of body slams and stuff like that, no. If you don't feel it right away, you definitely gonna feel it the next day, the next morning when you wake up. So anything happen to you like that or whatever the situation is, don't take it lightly. Even if you don't feel it right away, just go ahead to the doctors anyway, and because you're gonna feel it the next day. So yeah, but it's funny, but it's not funny. You know what I'm saying? Like, he had that cop officer, and it took like 3 officers to like control him. So he was on one. He was on something. Them pills was something. I don't know what them pills was that was making him feel like the Hulk or whatever the situation is, but he was definitely feeling like the Hulk. He was on something, and but the sad part is that assaulting an officer, even the traffic agents in here in New York, the ones that give out tickets, is automatic 7 years. I know for the traffic agents. I'm not sure for the police officers, but if they give that boy 7 years, that's messed up. You know what I'm saying? If they give him 7 years for that body slam and stuff like that, because that's like an assault or whatever the situation is. But yeah. That's the bad part and stuff like that. So it ain't so funny or whatever the situation is. He gonna be sitting in jail, and he gonna wish he never did that. You know what I'm saying? So y'all, stay off those pills. Be careful with that liquor. All that partying and drinking and all of that stuff like that. Yeah, you wanna say that you're drinking the champagne or you got your Henny or whatever the situation is, but you got to take care of your body and your kidneys and all of that stuff and your livers and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? You want to live to be an old lady like me. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? So you want to take care of yourself. But that dude was big. He was real big. And he was strong. So I don't know. I ain't got much today. Happy Valentine's Day to everybody. All my gay people that's coming out, like y'all something special. It ain't special no more that you coming out that you gay. It ain't no more big deal. So happy Valentine's to the gay people. So yeah. So this dude was like a football player, about 6'3", 240 pounds. And he had like 3 officers trying to, get him in check and stuff like that. And I think even once they got him in the back of the car and stuff like that, he was still like breaking loose, So whatever he was on a good one. But brother, I hope this linebacker, whoever you are, whatever your name is, I'm not sure who you are, but I hope that it didn't mess up your career. And I hope they don't charge you with I hope they don't give you a whole 7 years for that assault. But a body slamming, like if you pushed the police officer, that would have been one thing, but you put him up in the air and brought him down. So now this officer might go out on leave, with body injury. He might say his back is killing him or whatever the situation is. He might want to sue you, whatever the situation is, because all of that goes along with the package, You go out on workers' comp and stuff like that, and you get treatment, physical therapy, chiropractor, whatever. However, his back is, messed up. But being that he's a man, he might have bounced back pretty, he might not want to do all that. He might just want to work and get his paycheck or whatever the situation is. He might not feel it as bad, but if that would have been a woman that he would have body slammed, she definitely would have been out. You know what I'm saying? I definitely would have went out. You know what I'm saying? Because you're not gonna body slam me on my motherfucking back. You know what I'm saying? Shit. A 6'3", 240 pound football player body slam. I'm going out on leave and I'm suing, you know what I'm saying? So I don't know if the college football players get paid or not or whatever the situation is, but maybe he was headed to like a professional, playing professional football or whatever the situation is, because it seemed like it. you know what I'm saying? Like maybe he was special in his school or whatever the situation is, and it got to his head or whatever the situation is. Like who y'all arrested? Me? You know what I'm saying? Y'all can't arrest me. I'm a star football player in my college. Y'all know who I am. You don't know who I am. You know what I'm saying? So your head be blown up big like that or whatever the situation is. But I'm going to tell you straight up, mainly for you black guys. because I'm happy that them officers, it don't look like they used anything on him. I don't know if they tased him or whatever, but they didn't shoot him or nothing like that. You know what I'm saying? Because all that body slamming and stuff like that, that officer could have went down to the ground, just pulled out his gun and, you know, shot him. You know what I'm saying? To get him off of him or whatever the situation is. And he probably would have been justified because, you know, the dude had him all up in the air with his legs dangling and stuff like that. But I'm going to tell you, black guys, listen. If you get pulled over by a police, you know, but when you get pulled over, you know, you're going to make matters worse by arguing or not following orders. The main thing you want to do is immediately show that you're listening, follow whatever orders they say. If they say get out the car, go ahead and get out the car. You understand what I'm saying? Because staying in the car is just going to make them force you out. And if they start forcing you out of the car, you are automatically getting arrested, or the situation is going to automatically escalate. You understand what I'm saying? So if you get pulled over, the sun is glaring and everything like that. If you get pulled over by the police officers, mainly for the black guys or whatever the situation is, because like the what's his name, what's that, Dinkins? Yeah, he said that, yeah, we concentrate on the, you know, in the urban areas for the arrest. You understand what I'm saying? Like, they don't go in the really good, the good areas where white people is living. They usually go into where the blacks, Hispanics, where the minorities is living, because that's where most of the crime is. And he's right. Those was my orders to one time I was up in Riverdale. Riverdale is like, you know, a higher class in New York, where, you know, a lot of white people got apartments over there and houses and stuff like that. And, you know, black people live up there too. My sister live up there, you know, people that, you know, making a good income at least. And I was up there, you know, chilling out, giving out tickets because it was, you know, it's peaceful up there and stuff like that. So, you know, I had a whole, I had the vehicle, so I had a whole area to patrol. And Riverdale was one of the areas that I had to patrol. I'm here in New York, over here in the Bronx. And so, you know, like up off of Broadway. So, I went up to Riverdale and I was issuing summonses, and just like some lady just asked me like a question. I remember her asking me some kind of question or whatever, and you know, I told her what I was doing, issuing like the summonses and, you know, whatever. And she didn't say nothing. She got in her car and she left or whatever the situation is. But what it is that she might have called and reported that she seen me and I was issuing summonses up there, whatever. At the end of the day, when I got back to my DO, my supervisor told me, don't go, we got number codes for each area, and she told me the number code, which was Riverdale area. Do not go back up there. You know, my last name is Davis. She said, Davis, don't go back up there, up to that area, issuing summons, because what they do is they complain. You know what I'm saying? And they didn't like the fact of seeing me up there issuing summonses. I wasn't doing anything wrong. I was just doing my job. And when I got back to the to my DO, they told me not to go there no more. So they rather me go down on like 149th Street, like by 3rd Avenue in that shopping area in the South Bronx, or, you know, Fordham Road area or Tremont area and stuff like that, where it's like a lot of blacks and Hispanics and stuff like that. But for my guys, if y'all get arrested because basically you're black, and like the mayor said, you are targeted and stuff like that, so you know you're targeted and the situation could escalate or whatever the situation is, go ahead and follow the orders. If you get locked up, you know, go ahead and get locked up. If they take your car away or whatever, you could get it when you get out or whatever the situation is. I know it's going to be costly or whatever the situation is to go back and probably get your car out and get your stuff back together, or to talk to your attorney or whatever the situation is. But at least you live to see another day. You know what I'm saying? At least you live to see another day. And sometimes these officers, you know, they just be trying to fill a quota, and you might have not did nothing. You know what I'm saying? They might have, like one time, I had an officer lie. He said I didn't, he pulled me over because I didn't stop at the stop sign. But I seen like a van there. You know, I seen I wasn't sure if it was a marked police van, but I seen the van there. And I purposely put on my brakes and stayed for like about a half, like 30 seconds. And I stopped at that stop sign and stuff, and I know, because I said in my head, I'm going to stop at the stop sign. But anyway, after I kept on, you know, moving, after I stopped at the stop sign, the police van came after me and pulled me over. And I said, what were you pulling me over for, you know? And he said, you didn't stop at that stop sign. But I know I purposely stopped at the stop sign because I don't remember what my issue was at the time. But I was driving, I don't know if it was like my insurance had expired or something like that, you know what I'm saying? But I know something wasn't right with me. So I know I didn't want to get, you know, pulled over. So I was purposely trying to do everything correctly, and the officer lied, you know what I'm saying? So he took me in, and in my van I was selling like clothes and stuff, you know, these t-shirts and all of this stuff from wholesale, and I had a whole bunch of stuff, you know. And then after he arrested me and took my vehicle, once I got out of jail and stuff like that, you know, inside the jail was another ordeal. It was nasty, crackheads and dope fiends, and you know, they was shitting diarrhea and throwing up and doing all kind of shit. It was real nasty. One female, she lived in underneath the train. She was real funky and real stink and everything. I couldn't even eat and stuff like that. I had to give my food away and everything, you know. So I didn't eat for a couple of days until I seen it, you know. I had to see the judge and then, you know, come back out and stuff like that. When I went and got my vehicle and stuff, and I counted my clothes and stuff that I had in the back of my van and stuff like that, the officers had stole some of the outfits and stuff like that, because I always kept a number count. So some of my product was going and stuff like that. But, you know, who I'm going to complain to? You know, I'm happy to be out of jail. Just give me my truck and, you know, my van and let me go. You know what I'm saying? Let me get up out of here and stuff like that. But all of my products, you know, my clothes wasn't there and stuff like that. So for you guys who, when you get pulled over by a police officer, whatever the situation is, just go ahead and don't make the situation worse, because, you know, if the situation escalates and stuff like that, you know, some of these officers, they never lived in the urban community or whatever the situation is, and they probably scared of you for no reason, just for the way you look or whatever. So they might be quick to pull out their gun and shoot you or tase you or whatever. And all that tasing, I don't go for all that tasing shit either, because who knows, that electric shock could probably give you a heart attack, and you could probably die from that shit too. You know what I'm saying? So if a police officer pull you over, just go ahead and do what they say and stuff like that. Because I seen one other video where the guy was like not getting out the car, and they was pulling on his neck and pulling on his arm and kicking and fighting him out of the car. So it was crazy, you know what I'm saying? So it doesn't make no sense. They're gonna end up getting you out anyway, so there's no need to take a beat down, you know what I'm saying? You know, you're gonna end up out and in jail anyway, so you might as well go ahead, get your attorney, or, you know, your legal aid or whatever the situation is. Have your day before the judge or whatever the situation is, and you know, try your best to convince the judge, you know, about your argument or whatever the situation is. Even though all law enforcement seem to stick together, even with the judges, with the police officers and everything like that. Only way, if you have a paid criminal attorney and stuff like that, you know, it seemed like that it would be much better or whatever the situation is. But yeah, I didn't want to go this long or whatever. But happy Valentine's to everybody. It's Valentine's Day. I'm getting ready to go out there and work and put out some flyers. I do real estate. I'm a licensed real estate broker and everything. My company is Best Buy Homes Realty. So I'm going out there to get some work. And yeah, but that body slam was crazy. Yeah, I hope that they don't charge that brother with give him 7 years for that body slam. So y'all peace. Y'all have a good Valentine's Day.